The meeting of the Cabrillo Unified School District, please come to order. It is August 11th, 2022, and I'll now call this meeting to order. We're going to start off with roll call. Rosie, please.
Mary Beth,
Here.
Freya, Sophia,
Here.
Kimberly, Lisette, Caroline. Oh, Catalina. I'm used to say
Here.
thank you.
Thanks, Rosie. Okay, well, I'll stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Do you want to start us? Catalina's going to start us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's still on.
Okay, next item is to approve our agenda.
As a point of order, please know that yesterday we received a memo from County Council about independent study legislation that was settled late in the summer. And so we recommend and are asking the board to add an item. The materials, the memo, and the board policy and administrative regulation revision for the independent study to get us in alignment with law is available in the back table. It will be added to the electronic agenda tomorrow. You have copies of it, but we would like to first of all take a vote about staff recommendation to add that agenda item before you approve the agenda, please.
Motion to approve agenda as amended, proposed by Dr. McFettridge. Seconded.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Kimberly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5+1.
Okay, now we need to approve the agenda. Could we, as amended, could I get a motion and a second for that, please? That, what we just did was to add, if we wanted to add the item.
Okay.
Now we've added it. Now we need to approve the whole agenda.
Well, I'll follow your lead.
This is as
Yeah.
amended. First,
Yeah.
we had to just vote on if we're going to
Add it. Okay.
If we're okay with adding that to the agenda.
Got it. Okay.
And then we have to vote
So
on the whole
moved.
agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Sophia. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. It passes 5+1.
Sorry, Kim, that wasn't clear. Okay, first off, we have communications. Public comments. Any public comments, Rosie?
Not comments, and I haven't received any slips. Nope.
Nope, okay. We will move on to employee organizations reports, CUTA.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Claudia Lunstroth, co-president of CUTA, along with Sean Reardon. Today, teachers had to set a balanced tone for the year, one that shows empathy along with academic and behavior expectations. Teachers, as always, were juggling the many facets of our job, which include counseling, mentoring, parenting, disciplining, creating content, and sadly, breaking up fights and getting injured. Teachers by nature are hopeful that we can make a difference for our students. The relationships we form with our students and the gratitude they and their families show us keep teachers in the classroom. The occasional bumps in the road are expected. This year, CUTA members are hopeful that our negotiations will find a balanced tone of respect and understanding. CUTA has had many hard-fought successes in recent years. I say hard-fought because all recent contract negotiations have been fights. Negotiations don't have to and should not feel like fights. We are hopeful that CUSD's strong financial standing means there will be quick resolution to negotiations, resulting in a salary schedule commensurate with surrounding school districts. No matter what happens, our negotiators are ready to negotiate or fight for professional and financial respect from CUSD. On another note, CUTA recommends that board meetings be family-friendly hybrid Zoom meetings. The streaming service is helpful, but does not allow stakeholders the flexibility that Zoom does. Hybrid meetings would allow for more input from stakeholders who have to be at home with their families or just can't be here for any other reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have CSEA.
Good evening, fellow board members and Dr. McFetridge. As the new CSEA president, it is my hope we can continue to work together negotiating positively for positive outcomes for all our students, staff, and district employees. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have board members. Sophia's going to start us out tonight. Kim, you ready? Kim's going to start us out.
Lovely to be back with everybody. I think the summer went quite fast, and hope that teachers and students feel refreshed and are looking forward to this academic year. I want to let people know that on Sunday, August 28th, Musical Odyssey, a community music program will be resuming. This is for children, for parents, and they bring professional musicians to Half Moon Bay for like a half-an-hour concert and then interaction with kids. So it's really high-quality musicianship, and it will be, it's a string duo, Anna on guitar and Peter on dorma, which is a Slavic cousin of mandolin. And in an interactive show with songs, dances, and tambourine playing. So both musicians are graduates of Moscow's prestigious Grecian Academy of Music, and they'll be presenting music from Ukraine, Hungary, Greece, Cuba, and more. And so this is Sunday, August 28th, and we'll hopefully get this pushed out through other communications channels, but I just wanted to let people know about it. So please help spread the word. And it's a Community United Methodist Church. It's not a church event per se, but it's for the community. And just looking forward to being back and engaged with everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Sophia, you ready? No?
I'm having trouble with my internet.
It's okay.
For my notes, so.
You ready? Freya's going to go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back for the fall and the start of school. First day of school today is always so exciting, and I just wanted to thank you to everybody who helped to make it happen, especially those that also worked through the summer at summer school and then had to come back and start again today. And I know it feels really early where we know it's summer because the summer weather starts as soon as summer ends, as soon as the summer weather starts here on the coast. But I'm very excited. It's actually my younger daughter's last first day of school with Cabrillo, as well as these last couple board meetings for me. But I'm just excited to be back and to see everybody, and thanks everyone for all of your hard work. I'm looking forward to continuing with our CTE meetings this fall and also our environmental committee meeting. I encourage all of you to get involved. We're actually going to have our first meeting in September and have it be an in-person meeting at the high school to celebrate the new Cougar Park up there. So we're excited about that. So welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone has had a great restful summer and look forward to a great new year. And I'm also very excited. I did recruit someone to run for my seat for the board, and she's actually here, Carmen Daniel. And I'm so excited that she is running. She's a mother of 3 children in our district and is also an art teacher in San Francisco Unified School District. And I feel like she'll provide a really great addition to this board, as I sadly am going to be in my last 3 or 4 meetings coming up. So anyways, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Freya. Sophia?
Great, thank you. Thanks for the flexibility as I tried to get Google Docs back up, which apparently requires the internet. Who knew? Anyway, welcome back to everyone, and thank you to all who've been working super hard on kicking off the new school year. Just kind of big picture stepping back. 2 years ago, we were remote learning. Last year, we're kind of like scrambling to get back on campuses. And this year, I feel like is the year we get to rebuild. So I'm pretty excited about that. We had a big blast at Make It Main Street last week. I think it was, thanks to the event organizers who invited us to participate in the back-to-school block party that they hosted there for the first time. And thank you so much to the staff that jumped to the opportunity. I think we had most of our district staff, senior leaders, and all of our principals, and most of our assistant principals, and our new dean at Cunha as well. So it was really exciting, and to be able to meet families where they are, kind of just downtown Half Moon Bay, having fun with face painting, listening to music. It really felt like an integrated opportunity for everybody to connect just as people and their different roles. So that was really cool. And I think from feedback from the families is really helpful to get that information about everything from support for online registration, literally there with computers connected to the internet, to Samtrans schedules with their new route changes and everything in between. So that was really cool. And today was the first day of school. That was neat too, and already just cool to see like these glimmers of how much effort is going into making students feel, as Ms. Lundstrath said, like there's kindness and there's empathy, and balance was starting to kind of set those academic expectations and behavioral. And I think of it not exactly behavioral, but also just like how we work together and how how we have to interact so that a school can function and everyone can learn and grow. So I think that was really cool. I will put up props to the Half Moon Bay High School team for a really cute video introducing Ms. How did she say? Shuen. That was really cool. It was really cute. Just to disarm people with the humor, I think was a great tactic. And I know a lot of the teachers at Cunha sent home their syllabus, but with a lot of more upfront work about who they are, what they hope for, what they, just something that's really inspirational and heartwarming to kids as well as informational. So I wanted to give special thanks to those teams, which I often do just because I'm closest to them from the personal side. But I have no doubt with our leaders and our staff and our faculty and everybody at all our school sites, there's a warm welcome for everybody. So I'm looking forward to a more restorative rebuild this year, and lots of learning and growth to come for everybody, kids and adults as well. So thanks to everybody.
Thanks, Sophia. Should I go? I'll go. Lizette likes to round us out, so I'll go next. I was reading an article, an educational article the other day, What's in a Grade by Kimberly Sellery, and I thought I might talk a little bit about it because it talks about things that are going on in our district right now and some of the hard work that's starting with our staff. So I thought I might just address it a little bit. A lot of this work is based on some work by Joe Feldman, and basically it's examining how traditional grading practices affect equity. And since we're going into an equity audit, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it. And since our staff has already started this work, I wanted to bring it to the attention of parents and staff, parents and the public, that this is happening. The board had asked for it too. We had asked for some information looking at the number of D's and F's, so we had a few presentations on that last year. And so I think it's something that everyone's interested in, and it's basically looking at grading through that equity lens. In reading that article, I thought, I'm not trained in education, so maybe I could just tell a few examples of kind of how this plays out from my point of view, and I am by no means any sort of expert. But a couple of things they talk about in the article is, one, they talk about grading students on participation and how they're participating, in class and making that part of their grades. And it was funny because I was talking to my mom about this, and she was super, super shy in high school and was telling me how horrible it was to have to speak up in class, but yet her grade depended on it. So she was often called home to her parents or called in and had meetings with teacher. And, this was a long time ago, but, being a person who has a quiet husband and quiet children, it's really opened my eyes to this as not being that person myself. But she told me how horrifying those kind of things are for a student, and she would actually, rather than participate, she would let her grade fall. So that's like one thing they're looking at when they're talking about equity in this grading. Another thing they brought up was averaging grades over the quarter or over the semester, and thinking about how if you have a kid who flunks their first test, they might be so far behind that they can never catch up and get anything but a D or an F. And the worry is that the kids are giving up. And the thoughts are, we really want these kids to learn. And could it be better to just say, hey, what do they know at the end of the semester, rather than do they know this at this point and this at this point, you know, and having kids give up. So that's kind of that's another thing they're looking at to see if this is affecting our kids and how it affects equity. And I'm just pulling a few out. And then the other thing I thought was really interesting was they talked about the traditional grading scale, you know, 0 to 100. And, you know, we all grew up with it. My parents grew up with it. I've never questioned it. But just talking about how 2/3 of that scale is for subpar performance. And what does that mean? You know, it's oriented towards failure. And is this the best way to do it or not? And I think those are some of the questions that are being starting to be asked. And I think our staff is already looking at those things, our administration, our teachers. And I just want to bring that to the public's attention, because it's hard work and it's going to be complicated, but it's work being done. And I want to make sure people understand that we are doing that now, and it's important work, and it's perfect timing because we're going to be going into an equity audit soon. And I think this will all be part of it. So I just wanted to bring attention to that. And the whole goal for everyone is just to help kids learn in any way we can look at, using research or best practices or looking at our own kids. Any way we can help do that is for the better. That's all I have. Lizette?
Buenas tardes a todos y bienvenidos al nuevo año escolar. Estoy muy emocionada de ver todo lo que vamos a hacer este año, especialmente con las últimas presentaciones de Leticia y de todo el personal del distrito, con todos los planes para el año que viene. Es algo muy emocionante ver, especialmente como el nuevo currículum que va a ser para todas las escuelas, cosas así, para ver cómo salen los listos, el nuevo espacio para el pre-K, sobre todo eso. Estoy muy emocionada este año. Parezco como gallina sin cabeza porque también acabo de llegar y también tengo una niña y están en esa edad donde no quieren ir, pero quieren ir y quieren llorar y quieren ir. Y es todo muy emocionante y también muy alentador. Ojalá que todos sigamos con ese ánimo y sigamos con un mejor año escolar, porque siempre hay lugar para mejorar. Yo soy mamá de una niña de Cuña, por eso tuve la oportunidad de ver a todos los maestros afuera y que me dio mucho gusto, porque creo que eso más que nunca necesitamos, que los niños sean recibidos, que sean bienvenidos, y quién más que los propios maestros que están aquí en la escuela y el personal. También gracias al personal de aquí de la oficina y a todos los que ayudaron a los papás a registrarse. Mucha paciencia, con mucha amabilidad y con mucho respeto, y muchísimas gracias por todo eso. La última cosa también que quería agradecer, y no nada más, desafortunadamente no he tenido tiempo de ir a otras escuelas, pero como mamá personalmente miré esto en la escuela Cuña. También el video de bienvenida me gustó muchísimo, porque creo que fue el primer video que he visto que fue traducido y no fue un video en inglés con subtítulos, porque aunque yo sé leer, muchas veces no leo tan rápido para poder seguir el video, y es muy confuso, y la verdad no ayuda en lo personal para mí. Muchas gracias a, creo que se llama Víctor, el nuevo dean. Muchas gracias a Víctor por hacer eso. Ayudó muchísimo en mi opinión personal. Muchas gracias y pues bienvenidos a todos a un nuevo año escolar, y hay que seguir adelante. I just said thank you. No, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to a new school year. Like I said, I'm very optimistic and very happy and just eager to see everything unfold that was presented, especially at the end of the school year, like the piloting of the curriculum and the space for the new pre-K, TK, I always get those wrong, and just los listos, just being more involved and things like that. I'm really excited to see all those things. And I was, because I am a parent of Cuña, I'm only speaking on Cuña. I'm sure that this happened in other schools, but just to see the teachers on campus welcoming the students, I think more than ever, the kids need to see that. They need to feel that they're welcomed, and they need to see that they're being welcomed and received by their own staff. So thank you to all those teachers. Thank you to the personnel and all the people in the office who were very kind and supportive in helping parents registrate, especially since we're going more on this online, which I had a little problem with myself as well. So thank you for doing that. Lastly, I also want to just point out that I really thought that the video that Victor did, the Dean of Cunha in Spanish, was just amazing. I know that Cunha is known to do videos, and I've seen them, and unfortunately, the best they've done is just do subtitles, and it's really hard to keep up with the subtitles and to really get the message. So just the fact that it was literally not just subtitle translated, but literally translated, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, and I'm just looking forward to a new school year, just doing what we need to do to help our kids in our community and supporting each other and just being kind. Thank you.
Thanks, Lizette. Okay, we'll move on to our student board member report. We have a new student member. Catalina is here, so thank you for being our student board member for the year. And when you're ready, we'll listen to your report.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through all of the schools from all the principals. So starting with El Granada. El Granada Dolphins are excited for the new year with their new principal, Miss O'Connor. She's excited to join as such an amazing team. They're welcoming some new staff, and the new staff in different roles. The TK and kindergarten students have had a great time getting to know each other at the TK Kindergarten Social. It's confusing. They're looking forward to welcoming all families at their back-to-school night on August 16th. And then for Fairlawn View, they're excited for the start of the new school year. Teachers and staff have been working hard in preparation for students' arrival today. They're looking forward to hosting their back-to-school night on August 24th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Parents will have the opportunity to meet their child's teacher and visit classrooms, including the outdoor classroom, which is now in full bloom thanks to the PTO. For Hatch Elementary, they are welcoming back all Hatchies for the 2022-2023 school year. Teachers and staff have worked so hard to prepare the school for the first day, and it was a great day because of their hard work and support of the Hatch PTO. TK and kindergarten students had the kinder playdate yesterday and their back-to-school night last night, which helped parents get to know what to expect on their first day today. Thank you to our wonderful TK and kindergarten team. PTO also hosted an ice cream social and the parent welcome event today. The back-to-school night for grades 1 through 5 will be on August 24th at 5 p.m. Hatch would like to welcome the new teachers, Carlos Chamorro Burgos, Silvia Moreno Garcia, and Brooke O'Ryan. They're looking forward to a great 2022-2023 school year. Kings Mountain is next. They were fortunate to meet with families during the sneak peek on Tuesday, August 9th, and are excited to launch a new school year schedule and serve breakfast on their site. Heel is returning for the second school year. They're hosting back-to-school night on August 17th at 6 p.m. on site. Music for Minors will begin in September, and will study Constitution Day for the first time school-wide. On to Cunha. Cunha has a new administrative team as well as several new teachers. Jeff Clinton is the new principal. Lishema, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Dunyowe, the new assistant principal, and Victor Guzman is the new full-time dean of students. The new teachers include Justin Ju for PE, Andrew Bickford for PE again, Ping Wu for math, Julie Ron for science, Cassie Owen for science, Mark Square for special ed, Hannah Brown for SLA. And additionally, they're adding a Safe Schools Ambassador program, the Connect with Kids social emotional curriculum, and the Art of Education, a visual and performing arts online curriculum. Then they're working diligently to create a meaningful PBIS program and looking forward to a fun and productive school year. Now on to Half Moon Bay High School. There have been several changes to the personnel, since last school year. Our beloved principal, Mr. Nazar, has retired, and former assistant principal, Andrew Boysen, has assumed that assignment. We have a new assistant principal, curriculum, and instructor, Jennifer, I should have listened to the video. Shuin? Yeah, I think. Yeah. We had it on a loop in my physics class for like a good 5 minutes. There's also new teachers in math, science, English, special education, counseling, agriculture, and natural resources, as well as Spanish. They have also added a wellness coordinator and a student success advisor to help support our counseling and administrative staff with supporting our students' mental health and behavioral challenges. Mr. Boysen is looking forward to a productive school year where everybody on campus works together to raise each other up. There's 3 more. Pilarcitos High School is gearing up for a great new year. The new principal, James Barn, has been welcomed warmly by the team, and they are looking forward to meeting all of the students and family. They are beginning this school year by applying for accreditation with Western Association of Schools and Colleges, WASC, which, when granted, will increase the students' access to four-year colleges and universities. This is in keeping with the expanded mission to make Pilarcitos a truly alternative school, serving students with a variety of needs and goals. Then, for La Costa Adult School, they started their ESL classes on August 22nd, and they are very excited to have all the classes in person for the first time since March of 2020. They are looking forward to offering not just a high school equivalency program, but for the first time, a high school diploma program for all adults. Additionally, any student participating in their high school diploma or equivalency program is eligible to receive 11 free credits at the College of San Mateo. Finally, they are working closely with the team for the College of San Mateo and are looking forward to announcing the offering of limited number of classes in partnership starting in January in Half Moon Bay. And then there's more to come over the following weeks for them. Then lastly, Los Listos Preschool is starting the new school year at the 2 portables at Hatch and a new playground. Each class will give services to 15 students and will have 2 students from special education as part of our inclusion collaboration program. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Lots of info. Okay, last we have our superintendent report. Dr. Fettridge.
Thank you very much. I want to start by greeting all of you and welcoming us all back from summer vacation. I know this is a time when we're reflecting still and taking stock in where we are now and looking forward. And I want to acknowledge what we have been through and what we have done in recent years, but most importantly, remember and be mindful of why we are here. I appreciate the work of everyone to uplift others and make positive change. And I appreciate all the comments tonight about a positive start and a new start to the school year. I believe we are student-centered in our decision-making, so we can realize our mission of supporting college and career readiness for every student we serve. That has to be job number one for us. We are making sustainable decisions that protect our district and our environment. You will see that there are new solar panels being installed here at Cunha for efficiency, and then we will try to repurpose the old panels at new school sites. And we have a new solar carport at Hatch Elementary, very exciting for us now. We are also positive and professional practitioners who are uplifting every child every day, trying to reach our mission. I have such gratitude for what all of us do as part of a district team to help make continuous improvement in the district. in recent months and years, as you've heard from board members and others, that this has included new district-wide curriculum adoptions, thanks to Dr. Bhatia, in particular, the new benchmark Adelante curriculum adoption, TK5, excuse me, for the district, I think is probably the biggest news and some of the most important work as we have a district-wide foundation for literacy. I would say improvements to facilities are, of course, are important. The improvements to working conditions, the planning for modernization of El Granada and Farallon View, which is ongoing and should break ground hopefully in 2023, and the many different changes toward our goal of continuous improvement. Again, I'm grateful to all our colleagues, and I do want to take a minute to introduce the different leaders, returning and new principals. You'll see in the back, our elementary leaders are here. Amy McVicker, who represents the Farallon View Elementary School faculty and staff, thank you so much. And I got to drive by today just quickly and see Amy doing crosswalk duty there at Farallon View, and thank you so much for that with your colleague in that green, bright day-glow green vest. And I really appreciate that. And Amy, I appreciate you returning. I think this is year 3, really, second and a half. 4th year, if you want to count it that way. Okay, right on. Yes, I'd like to count it as the 4th of many years as our principal there at Farallon View. Thank you, Amy. And then you did hear about Erin O'Connor Brown, who's sitting back there in the back. Yay. And Erin is new to El Granada and representing the El Granada elementary faculty and staff. And Erin, of course, was a teacher and a dean here at Cunha Intermediate School. So thank you, Erin. We're so excited about you starting your first year there at El Granada Elementary. We have Alyssa Jaramillo and Danielle Robles, principal and assistant principal from Hatch Elementary here again. I want to give a shout out to you guys. Thank you. He's having a great start of school year, I think. And Debbie Silvera, who is here also with Miley Springer, also representing the Kings Mountain Elementary faculty. But thank you, both teacher leaders. Debbie, teacher leader during the year. Miley, certainly very grateful to you for your work this summer. We did mention at Cunha that we have a new principal, Jeff Clinton. He's not new to the school. He's been a teacher here for some time, had principal experience. We got very lucky with him. Victor Guzman, who Lizette mentioned, Ms. Cortez mentioned, as a new dean here. It's an added position, full-time position here at Cunha to help with administration here. And Litza Dunaway. Litza May, and I had to apologize to her today for misspelling her name, but I think we all are trying to make sure we pronounce and spell names correctly. But Litza May Dunaway has joined us as a new assistant principal and also representing the Cunha Intermediate School faculty and staff. Andrew Boysen, who last year and in recent years was assistant principal at Half Moon Bay High School, has taken on the job of Half Moon Bay High School principal. And Deanna Tower is, again, assistant principal there. And Jennifer Shuen, I think I got that right, is our new assistant principal there and joining us. And we also have Mr. Jones, David Jones, who is also in a quasi-administrative role there, some periods a day. And then we have James Barnes, who is our new coordinator of student services, also Pilarcitos principal, working with our fabulous lead teacher, Lizeth Bendanya, who's right here in the room also. Thank you for being here, Lizeth, and representing the Pilarcitos team. I do also want to call out that Rosalva Segura, and Graciela Krabenschmidt and Judith Cortez and Bretta de Jesus are all here going to present today on early learning and also present on the work done in the migrant office and also in the extended learning program. So thank you very much for being here. You already heard from Diane Powley, the new CSEA president, works for us in the business services department, and her, I'll just say it, her daughter Stephanie Powley, who's our new coordinator of food services. Thank you for being here also. We've got Josefina Infanzon in the back. Thank you very much. We've got Jorge Betancourt here. Thank you very much, representing technology. I see Jill Jacobson, our great partner and executive director of Boys and Girls Club of the Coast Side here. I do want to thank Ms. Lundstruth for being here representing. And our guests, Caroline Morton, I do want to say hello to you, and Martha Ladd. I know you will be presenting later on mental health. Peter Tukowski, thank you for very much from the Half Moon Bay Review. We've got some partners in the room. I want to name everybody, and thank you so much for your interest in public service for being here today too also. We did mention Drew Gammett and the La Costa Adult School team. Our Chief Business Officer, Jesus Contreras, is unable to be here tonight, and Jennifer Marsh is serving as interim Chief Business Officer. I want to say without our business services team, we wouldn't be able to do anything really, and that includes payment of staff, payment for contractors, bills we need to pay to keep our schools open, clean, lit, and warm. That department has done a huge amount of work because everything from food service to keeping places clean, custodial, maintenance, building new things, food service, it goes on and on. That's a really complicated department. I want to thank Assistant Superintendent Dr. Batia. Again, her leadership of curriculum instruction with her colleagues and with her colleague Josefina Infanzon has helped to pave the way for increased academic achievement here, whether it's English language development or visual and performing arts or increased investments in early childhood education. I do want to thank again Martha Ladd and Caroline Morton and Susan Vanna for their focus on our health, whether it be medical or social emotional. Bianca Forrester, James Barnes as our pupil and personnel team working in the HR office. And this year we had a much smoother start and have almost every position filled. And Bianca really worked with Mike Carey and Steve Goldberg and Jackie Sullivan, folks in her office to make that happen. I have to voice this gratitude to all these people because it is a heavy, heavy lift, especially in this time. Again, I mentioned Stephanie and the food services team. Thank you so much. There is now this year free breakfast and free lunch for every student. And this is no mean feat either because last spring, Stephanie had to negotiate a new contract with a new vendor because the other vendor either went out of business or could no longer do business with us. So Stephanie, thank you so much. We're very appreciative of that. Our maintenance and our custodial workers, Jaime Rico, Ronaldo Vesaliza, Kathy Baggett, everyone, all our custodians, all our maintenance work, make our facilities work for our kids. And then the technology team working under Stig Lynn's leadership. Again, what would we do without all these things? I'm also very grateful to all our partners. I've already mentioned Jill and the Boys and Girls Club. I want to include ALAS, Ayudando Latinos a Soñar. I want to include CEF, Cabrillo Education Foundation, the Rotary Club, Half Moon Bay Library, who together hosted a wonderful new teacher event last week, which was fantastic and really warm and inclusive for our new employees. And then our parent-teacher organization leaders who help schools deliver every day. What would we do without our PTOs? Recently, I was asked for highlights of new developments for the new school year, and I do want to mention those. I will actually thank Peter Tukovsky from the Half Moon Bay Review for saying, hey, what's new? And he did cover this in his article. But I think it's important for everyone to take a moment to take stock in these new initiatives. First of all, last year we introduced and launched full-day kindergarten in 21 and 22, and I want to thank the kindergarten teachers for taking that on. I think that's great that after parent conferences, kindergarten starts and mirrors the same hours as grades 1 through 3, and that's really important for families, working families, all families really. And then this year we are starting full-day transitional kindergarten now that we have universal TK. The TK committee led by Leticia, Dr. Batia, but also led with transitional kindergarten teachers, voiced their interest in also mirroring that full-day kindergarten. So after parent conferences end in late September, beginning in early October, we will have full-day transitional kindergarten. We are one of the few districts in the county to do both full-day kindergarten and full-day transitional kindergarten. Again, I mentioned the district-wide TK5 English Language Arts and English Language Development curriculum. I think that is a huge thing so that we have a good investment in literacy, and I know that they're training for that and implementing that this year. We also have the implementation year for a visual and performing arts master plan, which you heard a lot about last year, and board members, I think Ms. Hines and Ms. Cortez worked with Dr. Batia and with other teachers and other stakeholders about that. So we will see increased investments in visual and performing arts. Our partnership with the HEAL Project this year, you'll actually see it on the consent calendar, includes gardening education on every TK5 campus. That was a huge goal for us, and we could not do that without the HEAL Project. Have been a great partner for us for years, but now we have that on every TK5 campus. We've seen career technical education expansion and facility improvements, particularly at Half Moon Bay High School for the agricultural science program. and that is coming along. It's a work in progress, but I saw the brickwork today, photos of the brickwork and new paving, and there will also be a shade structure there so they can have outdoor instruction. That's really looking good. As far as focus on equity, I want to thank Rosalva Segura and Dr. Bhatia for after-school program expansion. If you've seen what they've done with the Eagle Club at Hatch is quite impressive, and sort of incorporating that with the work that Lori Malliot does at El Granada, and then just in general, looking at how we can invest in more after-school program for our at-promise students in selected grades. The Los Listos Early Education Center, we've been able to move that over to the Hatch campus, so it's in a much better place and not stuck in a parking lot in the district office, which I thought was quite frankly unconscionable. And so I'm so happy that you guys have been able to move and expand those services. And without Rosalva and Martha and Holly Wade and Dr. Bhatia working on Grant, now we're going to have a more inclusive environment. It's got a wonderful new playground for those early learners. I think that's just fantastic. We have a College of San Mateo partnership starting this year, which will provide dual enrollment opportunities and classes, college credit bearing classes on the high school campus. Our equity audit, as has been mentioned, will be starting this fall as a precursor to work that would be required for our district strategic plan. And we have English language development program expansion, which included hiring using LCAP funds for a new ELD coordinator and also ELD teachers on special assignment to focus our equity focus on English language learners. That's been very important for us, knowing the services that we need to provide to those learners. And I would also say the expansion of the transitional kindergarten program, serving students who are turning 5 between September and February, and the addition of CUSD's first dual immersion TK class. So I'm very pleased about that. I've mentioned some of the things about district sustainability. We've created a dashboard last year that's now implemented to help track energy, waste, and water usage. We have new solar energy generation panels on the parking lot carports at Hatch, as I mentioned. There is a new bike walk path at El Granada Elementary. We did an easement with the county and are cooperating with them and hope to connect that right to the El Granada campus with the County of San Mateo to make sure that there is a safer and more healthy way to get to school for El Granada that can connect all the way from Half Moon Bay. We have a new tri-bin waste sorting pilot at Half Moon Bay High School as a proof of concept and plan on rolling that out to other campuses so that we can sort recycling waste and composting so that we can divert waste from landfill. Of course, we have the El Granada Elementary and Farallon View Elementary School modernization in 2023. And finally, there's a water reclamation project pilot at Half Moon Bay High School. If you go up there to see near the new Cougar Park, you will see a large water tank. And I want to thank Ronaldo Vezaliza and our consultant from HEAL Project, Matthew Spiegelman, and our maintenance folks and for looking at how we can do water reclamation projects on all our campuses. That's a lot that staff are doing. I'm so grateful to staff. I'm so grateful to our teachers, our educators, to our administrators, to our classified workers, our support staff, to our parents, to our partnering organizations, to our board, who without their guidance and sort of push and nudging, none of this would be possible, but most importantly to our kids, who are our hope and our promise. And we keep thinking about them as we try to serve every child every day. And thank you for my long-winded remarks.
I do thank you for that because there is a lot going on, and I'm glad that you're making people aware of it because the people are working hard all over the place, and there is a ton happening and a lot of good stuff happening. Speaking of stuff happening, what's up next is our consent agenda, which is, again, packed full of things, so make sure you check out the consent agenda for other things going on as well. Sean's hit on many of them. But I'll take a motion in a second to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Freya. We're gonna do roll call for consent agenda. Mary Beth,
Aye.
Freya, Sophia,
Aye.
Kimberly,
Aye.
Lisette, Catalina. Thank you. It passes 5+1.
Thanks, Rosie. Okay, moving on to general business. The first thing we have up is a presentation on Los Listos preschool presentation.
Good evening. President Alexander, Governing Board, Dr. McFetridge, colleagues and community. We have our amazing Rosalba Segura and her team, Graciela Krabbenschmidt and Judith Cortez. I did want to say that it definitely takes a village. Rosalba wears multiple hats. Have her today wearing her Los Listos hat and giving us a presentation about the many great happenings in our expanding Los Listos preschool. Thanks for being here.
Buenas tardes, thank you. I want to start by saying that I inherited a really good program many years ago. I want to say 10 or 15 years ago from Senora Cortez. When I inherited the program, I only had one teacher, Graciela. And now that I hear about equity, I don't want to forget about quality. That program was maybe not so much of equity because it was a segregation of students, migrant students, but it was great in quality. It's not surprising to many of you guys that when you heard Rosalba, Graciela, Judy, and Brenda, and so many that we provide services, we really, really try to do the best for the families. So because we only have 8 minutes, I'm going to focus one hat, which is the preschool. We do 3 main services for preschool population. First, we start with recruiting the families, but more than anything, trying to screen them and make sure that our program is the best program for them. Secondly, we do referrals if within those screenings we find some red flags, some concerns, and my partner in crime, she's so good at really providing the services with her team to those families. And thirdly, I think we provide wraparound services for the families. We really create a great safety net where families feel that they're connected, and our services don't end by the time that those kids go to kinder or TK. We see students, she was crying last time we had graduations at the high school because most of those graduates were students from her class. But I need to share these presentations because they're experts in areas of the program. And I want to start with the early screenings, and Judith Cortez came to work with us with a lot of great ideas, great resources, and expertise, and how to really provide services to students who are waiting to come to a center-based program. So we don't just get a name and a list in some form or shape in the software world or internet world. We start by really providing meaningful and like I said, quality services and opportunities to those families. So.
Good evening. The way we identify families is we go off our wait list for Los Listos preschool, and we recruit these families and children to refer them into early intervention services. Our plan is to contact those families and, sorry, I'm so bad at public speaking, so just bear with me. We do a parent information night and tell them the expectations and requirements, et cetera, and we explain to them about what we're all about and about starting to create a relationship with the parents, which I think that's very crucial. Me as a parent, it's very important for me to create a relationship with the teachers, with the staff, with the admins that are, in a way, on a daily basis, also interacting with my child and for the benefit of our own children. We do universal screenings to all those children, to those 40 children in our wait list every year. We administer the Ages and Stages questionnaire, and what it does is it monitors and assesses the different areas of development, like communication, gross motor skills, fine motor skills, problem solving, and personal, social. But at the same time, we support those families. Okay, we go over the results and support them, facilitating gatherings through Zoom or in small groups. We provide them with materials and activities. Next slide, please. Here's a picture of some of the children that have been receiving the materials. We explain to them what it is. Yeah, you might see a book. What's the book for? It's to introduce them to literature. What does literature do? It's like the seed of the academic tree. From literature comes the writing. From literature comes more vocabulary. So we start exposing them to that. A pair of scissors. What is it going to do? Just cut their hair? No. What it does is starts developing their fine motor skills, which is pre-writing skills. So we explain to them and expose them to materials and what we do in preschool when they come into the preschool with us. If we see that they need more like an extended referral or a further assessments, we refer them to our partners, CUSD, to ALAS. With ALAS, we connect them with Erendida Gonzalez. She's a parent of a child with special needs, and she connects them to their own pediatrician, to GGRC, to other resources that they can have access, and they can come and provide services for these children, for them to be connected with those resources. When the referral is made, we don't just like forget about it. Okay, I'm taken care of. No, we connect them personally with that different department, different agency, but we also confirm that they have received the referral and guide them to that transition process, how it's going to work. And with the family's consent, staff and agencies, we follow up, we update. Why? Because eventually they're going to be our students. So that way we're all working together. We're all collaborating with the family, like I said, for the benefit of the student. So Graciela is going to continue with the next slide. But this is my part, the early developmental screenings. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Get a little nervous too in front of adults, not with children, but with adults. I always get really nervous. Next slide, please. We already talked about. Okay. So who do we serve? For many, many years, we were exempt license center. So there was not a lot of protocols and that we follow. 2018, we became licensed by California State Preschool Program. So we are licensed now, CSPP. We serve families with children 3 and 4 year olds, where in the past we only served 4-year-olds. Now we're serving younger children, so we can give the early intervention when they need it, and the experience of 2 years of preschool. So by the time they transition to TK or kindergarten, they have more experience in all the areas of development. We certify the families for 2 years. We go through a process of paperwork and income base. So we certify them for 2 years. We offer now 2 morning classes, which we are really happy, and we're hoping that in the future we'll be serving more students, population. We include children that qualify to receive special education services who will benefit from partial or full session of general preschool. So this is our first year of inclusion, which we're really happy working with special ed team. Next slide, please. Our curriculum and alignment. We base a lot of our lesson planning on the DRDPs, which means the desired result developmental profile, and it's an instrument, an assessment instrument that is designed for teachers to observe, document, and reflect on the learning and progress of the children. So we do observations through the teachers do observations through the year, and we base our lesson planning on those results. We have to record those observations online, and then we are able to see the percentage of the growing on the children. If it's language, the language area is weak, we modify our lessons, so we create more opportunities for them to create more language. If it's find more skills, large more skills, especially after the pandemic, we noticed that children were really weak on their large motor skills because they were not playing outside a lot. So we had to modify our teaching, and a lot of the learning was happening outside. So we don't follow curriculum every year because every year is different. We also use the California Preschool Learning Foundations. And these are used in all the developmental areas: language, English development, math, social emotional, which is one of the foundations for their growth. And we hold 2 teacher-parent conferences through the school year, in the fall and in the spring, so we can communicate with the parents and work together in which the areas the children need to work more, or just to inform them how the progress is going. And we also use the Brigand Screen Assessment, which is used in kindergarten, I believe. We use the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old age group, and we administer that twice a year in September and May. And I think this is our class from last year.
And we're not stopping just yet. Yes. But the goal is that we continue growing, and with this new UPK and TK and being affected. So our goal is to keep 2 preschool classes, 1 more inclusion class, and hopefully a full day class. We recently did, thank you to Dr. Batia, we did a survey that really demonstrated the great need for our families, USD families, that are working more than 2 jobs sometimes, to provide the services. So we're not ready just yet. It's 1 transition at a time. We are trying to get our expertise ready for a full day, and especially with inclusion, we really need to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those students. And little by little, we're including more kids with IEPs. But hopefully within a year or 2, no promesa, but we'll be increasing, because we're in really good standings with the state. The quality of the program, it's remarkable. The work of the parents and the family engagement component really help us to enroll students that are semi-prepared to be disconnected from parents. I want to add that when I inherited the program from Lisette, we were teaching sometimes in the parking lot, home base, sharing a special day class, second grade classroom, had to take turns who stay with the students and who takes them to the bathroom. But we're so thankful that finally SUSD really has extended their arms and really make us speak for sure a family member of CUSD. Our families really are devoted to their kids, and we don't, like I said at the beginning, we don't really tell them goodbye at the day of their graduation. Next slide, please. It's just the beginning for them, and so we try to set them up for success. Thank you very much. Does anybody has any questions for my colleagues or myself? Oh, and you mentioned, that's why I skipped. We talk about Star Vista, CUSD, ALAS, Help Me Grow. San Mateo is a great partner to us. San Mateo County Office of Education Early Learning is our mentor. It guides us through all the big transitions such as TK, UPK, wraparound services. We're offering first-year wraparound services. I told you 8 minutes were not enough for me. Boys and Girls Club is another great partner in the community, and also the Half Moon Bay Library. Preguntas?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment, many comments. Like Rosalba said, many moons ago when I was an adult and putting myself through my own education, I worked for the migrant program, and I had the pleasure of working with Graciela and Rosalba, and I worked for about 8 years, and then I graduated, and then I went to jail. I didn't literally go to jail, but I went to school and I graduated, and I got my job for San Mateo County Probation. So I can't emphasize what an amazing work you guys have done. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, it's accredited. It's thankfully it's now a part of. It always felt like it was something that was part of the school district, but it wasn't incorporated, and now it is. And you guys are an amazing group of strong leaders, and very, you guys have the heart and the knowledge and just the charisma and the strength to pull this off. And thank you so much for doing this, because I know how hard it is and how it is so much needed. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I can't thank you guys enough. So I really appreciate all the work you do, and just to see the kids in the graduating ceremony, you would think that they're going to be doctors. That's how important it was for these kids and the parents and the families. It's amazing. It's an amazing ceremony. If you ever have a chance, I really would, I invite you guys to go to these graduations, and I hope that every school takes advantage of these parents, because Graciela and I just remember, because when we first introduced ourselves, we thought we were cousins. No, we're not. And so now I'm like, wait, that's not my cousin, but what's her name? And then, and also Rosalba, you guys prepare these parents, and they are off to like an amazing start. And I hope that whatever school that these kids and these families go to will really continue to nurture and just take advantage of just the great work that you ladies do for the kids and for the parents. The parents are eager to help in any way that they can. And a lot of it's not the traditional way, like, signing up for PTOs, but it is in a very meaningful and sincere way that these families would love to continue to participate in the school and in the district. So thank you so much for doing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just want to add to that and to say yes, what she said, for sure. Thank you, Lizette, for really crystallizing. To me, what stood out from what you shared with us tonight was your emphasis on quality, and that is defined by what the students and the families need, really, really what they need, and your kind of undying commitment to figuring that out and making it happen. And then secondly, part of that also is the piece around inclusion and how you work really closely together with our own special educational services partners outside of our school district. Basically, whoever can help you make it happen, you find them and you integrate those students into the best environment that we can have for them. However, whatever that might look like for each student. So I appreciate that inclusion and that kind of customization as well. And just a side note too, I like, Graciela, how you talked about curriculum and how you use it, and it's not like just a plug and play. You really look at your individual students and your groups and what their needs are over time, and you apply that curriculum in a flexible way to meet those students' needs where they are, not where we think they should be or we theoretically think they are. So I just wanted to thank you for all that, and you serve such a great model for all of our district that I'm really grateful for district staff who has embraced early education as a strategic investment for all our students and all our families across the coast side. You invest early and often. I think that, that's how you get your big rewards. So I'm grateful for all the work together to make that happen. So thank you.
I would have added stuff, but that pretty much covered it. I'm with you. Anyone else have anything? Yeah, I think it's great that you're looking at the whole child and things outside of school, like healthcare or, social, emotional, how they're doing socially. Because we all know if they're not supported in those ways, they have a hard time learning. So everything everyone else said goes for me too. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for the presentation. Okay, moving along, we have the update on summer school 2022. It is also a presentation. Is that Dr. Bhatia?
Yes. Hi. So hats off to this amazing summer school team led by Daniel Robles and Debbie Silveria, summer school coordinators and leads. We served over 500 students this summer, and without the hard work year-round, actually, from our lovely administrators and the hard work of our teachers, we potentially could have had 500 students that were in a maybe not so conducive environment. So just a lot of appreciation to this group. We have Lisette Bendaña, who led our high school group. We have Brenda de Jesus Acosta, who led our Big Lift, and Miley Springer, our STEAM program. I also want to just say thank you to Jill, who offered, we were only able to offer the morning half, but Jill, we're so grateful for your partnership. Every year she comes in with such an amazing service for students in the afternoon. And our families and students are able to get such an amazing summer program that is a full day, from 8 in the morning all the way till 5 o'clock. So thank you so much. And I know that, Jill, you also offered, after our summer program ended, you also offered some programs as well. Thank you.
Sure. So thank you for introducing everybody. And we are going to have, I'm going to have Danielle talk about our enrollment slide, but all of our fantastic program leads are going to, program managers are going to present their sections. So go ahead, Danielle.
And I'm sorry, I can't forget about Martha Ladd.
Martha is here too.
Yes. So Martha does an amazing job always in making sure that we're integrating special education students into our program. So Martha also had a critical role in making sure that our extended school year services were in place for summer. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you, Leticia. Really quickly, I also want to take this moment to welcome Catalina to the school board. For those of you who don't know, Catalina was a second grader in my class many years ago, and it was very lovely to see her also blossoming here at Cunha when she took on roles in student leadership, and now to see her here, this makes us proud, and that's the reason we're educators, so congratulations, Catalina. Thank you. And I'm sure you all noticed how awesome she was able to read in English and then switch to that Spanish when she had to read those Spanish last names. Well done, Catalina. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide here. So our program overview, our program was divided into 3 specific programs. We had a program for students from Rising K to 3rd grade, which was the Big Lift, and that was managed by Brenda de Jesus. We had our program, which was STEAM, from 4th to 8th grade. That was managed by Miley. I'm sorry, the numbers. Rising K to 3rd with Big Lift was 123 students. Rising 4th to 8th was STEAM. That was 134 students. One thing that was really unique about our STEAM program was that it was housed at both Hatch and Cunha. So we're really proud of Miley for being able to manage that, those 2 sites and work with us. Really thankful for that. Thank you, Miley. And we had credit recovery, which included 116 students. So that falls under the high school umbrella, which includes physical education, bridge freshmen, and that was led by Lizette Bendaña, who was amazing. If you had the chance to be here during summer school, you would have seen her with her positive energy, really influencing the students and bringing a lot of life to wing of high school and the middle school, which a lot of times you would expect students to not be very excited about being here at school, but it was great to see her talking with students, interacting with them, and really bringing life to the situation. So thank you, Lizette. Thank you to all of our team. We also had ESY Summer Skills, which is for our students with special needs, and we were serving 26 students. And we had our migrant program, which served 100 students. So thank you, and we're going to give it off to our Big Lift lead, Brenda de Jesus.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. This was my first year as a program manager for the Big Lift, and so I was very excited to take that role because many moons ago, I was one of the student volunteers when I was 6th grader in Cunha for the Big Lift, and I also helped pilot it with Debbie when we started the Big Lift. So it's nice to make that big full circle here. So we had 123 students, and they were very excited. It was really hard to come to an end after 4 short weeks. We had meaningful mornings, which were led by our wonderful staff, with literacy and mathematics, different centers, different activities. A lot of our activities were manipulatives so that these young students were able to grasp the content and connect it to the real world. So they really enjoyed literacy. As my colleague Judith Cortez said, literacy is really the seed to their future. So we're very grateful to offer the service to them. And we were assisted by 18 San Mateo County Library facilitators who supported our lead teachers during the morning. And then in the afternoons, they came in and provided a STEAM program for them. So we can keep going. You can see some pictures, the smiles, the writing, lots of calligraphy was done over the summer by these young students. Lots of comprehension and reading was really important too. there was some students who came in at a lower reading level, and we are glad to report that over the summer at the end of the report, a lot of these students did increase in their reading level, so that's great. And then we moved into our amazing afternoons. Oh, Dr. Batia did come visit us and did visit some of our classrooms as well, so we were very fortunate to have her come. And then we moved into our amazing afternoons. This is more pictures of them doing work. So this was led by the San Mateo County Library facilitators, led by Ricardo Buzo. And so they focused on science, technology, engineering, art, math, mindfulness, and literacy. And this was amazing. This is something that these students don't really get to do during the regular school year. So it was awesome to offer this extra couple of hours where they could play with slime in the classroom, because that's something that teachers are probably like, no slime. So it was nice to put that into the classroom. One of the favorites was definitely the robots. Our second and third graders did learn how to code. And so they were able to create codes to direct robots around and lead them through mazes in the classroom. So that was really awesome. They did create also marble paint, where they would put marbles and talk about friction and all of that. So our kindergartners were talking about friction, which is amazing to introduce STEAM at such a young age and continue that into their future. And you'll just see a couple more slides of them creating little robots with their cups and popsicle sticks. And then they did create race tracks for cars to see and estimate, which was a great word that our kindergartners learned, is to estimate how far their car would race. So that's awesome. And let's see, just a couple more pictures of their STEAM activities. Some of them, the robots, the marbles, lots of painting and talking about, I'm losing it, talking about different things. And then we took our big field trip to Inkspell, which the wonderful store owner allowed our students to take 2 books home, and it could be any book. So even if the kindergartner wanted a Harry Potter book, they took that Harry Potter book, because in a couple of years they can start reading that Harry Potter book. So it was amazing to just have them explore Inkspell. And a lot of our students had never been to a bookstore and didn't know what a bookstore was and the difference between a bookstore and a library. So that was awesome to bridge that connection for them and the families as well. So yeah, that's it from my end. There is a video, there are some videos at the end of the slides that you could watch on your own time. There are closing ceremony videos, so all of our classes came up with different skits, songs, chants. One of the ones that really stuck with me was the growth mindset chant from our first grade class, which is really important at a young age to start that growth mindset for the rest of their life. So thank you very much.
I just want to take a moment to thank Brenda for the work she did this year, because when I saw you on campus, I was thinking, okay, this is a future school administrator in the making. And Brenda, you know how I feel about that. And I also want to say that Rosie just leaned over to me, and just as Danielle was calling about Catalina and talking about her great leadership, I understand that, Brenda, you were also a member, student school board member at one time.
I was a 2-year school board member.
Okay. So thank you very much for your service to the district and your community. We really appreciate it, Brenda.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be able to stay in my community and teach the future of our community.
Good. Next slide. So I'm here for the STEAM Academy part of summer school. We can go to the next slide. We had some objectives at the beginning of the STEAM program to increase interest, to increase knowledge, and to increase different exposure to the skills associated with STEAM. We also wanted to improve 21st century skills, increase academic vocabulary, and increase school engagement. So to measure our objectives, we gave a survey to both students and parents at the beginning of the academy and again at the end. So if you can go to the next slide, we can look at student surveys. So when we look at the beginning numbers, they didn't feel they knew a lot about science and technology, knew more about art and design, did not feel they could explain their work well to others, and sort of knew what they could take care of the environment. At the end of 20 days, we didn't see a lot of growth in knowing about science and technology, but we think some of that may be them now knowing what they don't know as much as
not learning. Art and design went up. Explain their work to others. This is an interesting one, as you'll see on the next slide when we look at the parent data. But they do feel like they learned a lot about the environment. If we go to the next slide, this was the parent survey. If you look at that, they felt their child learned a lot about science and technology and art and design. But importantly to me was that they felt that their children were able to explain their work. So that told me that the children were going home and telling their parents and explaining to their parents what they were learning in our program. So while the students maybe didn't feel they had increased a whole lot, the fact that the parents felt that way, I thought we had achieved that goal. And they feel like their children also know how to take care of the environment. Next slide. The curriculum we used, we had Alice come in. They provided hip hop, Afro-Peruvian drumming, vocals, capoeira, Latin American folk dance, and arts and crafts. We had the curriculum for the science part was from a company called ENGIE, which it was energy and environmental science based. We had SEL circles in our 4th and 5th, provided by our wonderful team here. And then the teachers also supplemented their own art lessons into the science curriculum, either independent or in support of the science. Next slide. So who did we serve? We heard 134 students. Of those, 78% were free and reduced lunch students. 51% are designated EL. An additional 31% are RFEP students. 20% of the students have IEP that were in the STEAM program. And as we said, it's the rising 4th through the rising 8th. And then here's some pictures of them doing some science and engineering, where they explored wind and solar and electricity and all sorts of energy and how to generate it and how to use it. Next slide. Whoop, we skipped a couple slides. Anyway, no, okay, anyway. The battle bots, I didn't mention that, but our 8th graders got to build and compete with battle bots. If anyone of you are familiar with it, they used 1-pound battle bots that were remote controlled. Used it in here. Should we see if the other slides are there? Oh, there's one. Alice provided the dance and visual performing arts. The kids really enjoyed the capoeira and the folk dance. And there's some of the art that they created this summer also. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, Jill. Also, in the afternoon, thanks, Jill provided all the work for the afternoon.
Jill personally provided it. No, not at all. So most of you know me. I'm Jill Jacobson. I'm the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club. And we were honored to partner again this year for the STEAM Academy for the 4th to 8th graders. So we took over at noon when the STEAM Academy had ended, and were charged with some of the same kinds of attention. We were specifically looking at physical and social emotional health, and the afternoon included a lot of sports, volleyball, basketball, a lot of dodgeball. I can't believe how popular dodgeball is. We were also able to do tennis instruction for the 7th and 8th graders, which will be a nice feed into giving some of them an opportunity to try out for some new teams at Cunha. In arts, we had a couple different art projects, and I brought in, I didn't get my slides in time for the board packet, but they were all invited to paint birdhouses, and this is one young person that left theirs for me in my office, so I feel so delighted by that, and did a mosaic project that is in our new wellness space here on the Cunha campus. So if you're ever here and have a free moment, I'd love to show you the mosaics. Also had a cooking element and did lumpia and pizzas. And a social emotional focus that wasn't specifically called out as a curriculum, but we did hire to manage the groups in the summer camp, a cohort of 15 youth leaders who were totally consistent over the entire 5 weeks. All 15 are CUSD alums. And 2, this is really fun, graduated from Half Moon Bay High Thursday night and started their training with us Friday. And we're on the road leading others by the next, I believe we start on Wednesday. I can't really exactly remember, but you can really tell these guys were saying about kids not wanting to leave. But as we were ending, after what seemed like a really short period, there was lots of hugs and when will I see you again? And they'll see them all again in the community because they all live here and they all lead here. And so thank you for the opportunity to partner. We had a great summer. It was fun.
And I'm back. So I have had the great opportunity to be the lead teacher for the migrant program for 4 years now. And this year we led a 4-week summer course as well for the migrant program, and we served over 100 students. Next slide, please. Over 100 students in which we had a 4-week literacy program. We invited students to come and join us for literacy circles, as well as expanding, especially focusing on expanding their comprehension and vocabulary to kind of bridge this connection between July and August so that there's not much of a loss in the academics over the summer. We did offer vision screenings, dental screenings, as well as a field trip for our 4th through 8th graders to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So I'd love to share some photos with you. So here are literacy circles. We do choose age appropriate and level appropriate to these students. So we look at their report cards from their teachers to choose the books that are appropriate to their level. We choose one that's at their level and one that's a little bit higher just to challenge them over the summer. And again, they don't want to leave when it's time to go. And here's our field trip to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which a lot of our students really have never been to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And I like to choose, I say I because Rosalba lets me plan the field trip. So I like to choose a space where most of our students haven't been. So last year we did Oakland Zoo, and this year we wanted to do the Monterey Bay Aquarium because at least 90% of our students have never been to an aquarium. So just to offer this great opportunity through us is amazing, and parents are very thankful to CUSD for providing the migrant program for them. Next slide. And that's it from the migrant program. Thank you.
Good evening. Once again, I just want to say CUSD has provided a really engaging and well-supported extended school year program to our students with disabilities, and I really want to thank Debbie and Daniel for their amazing recruiting efforts to make sure that all of the students were supported at the level that they needed. Rosie? Extended school year is a service that we provide to eligible students. The purpose of the program is to help students maintain their skills and to prevent a steep decline in skills that results in a flat recruitment when they come back to school. And upon return to school, they're able to pick up really closely to where they had left off when they came in. Also, we're able to provide all related services that eligible students have on their IEPs. So they can continue with their speech services, continue with OT, and continue with assistive physical education. And Rosie, the next slide. Thank you. Again, this is a slide that defines ESY. I got a little ahead of myself. But the program itself is to meet school standards, so that it is academically based, but it's also, our teachers are super fun, and they really are innovative and positive. And as you've been demonstrated for all the programs that we've had here, our students wake up wanting to go to summer school, and that's very true with our ESY program as well. And they also go on local field trips here, walking field trips here in town, and year after year, they're very excited to be able to do that. Next slide, Rosie, thank you. And here are program highlights. Of course, we're able to provide transportation for all of our eligible students, and as I mentioned, they have all their related services, and they're all supported with paraprofessionals as they need that additional adult support. And then the next slide. This is really a program, a new program that we started this year. So as I mentioned, students who receive extended school year have to be found eligible for that program. And for all of our students who aren't eligible for extended school year, we were able to offer a summer skills program for those students. And the summer skills program was an asset-based skill development class that allowed students to really practice their assistive technology. Assistive technology is that bridge that allows kids to have more access to their general education so that they're sitting in class, reading the same books, doing the same problems, engaging in the same science experiments, but they have a technology that really is that bridge so that they can access it. So super excited to be able to offer this program that included art and movement as well as social emotional learning. And then I wanted to next just to highlight the social emotional learning program. We were able to serve 75 students, including the 4th and 5th grade STEAM students and the 9th grade bridge students. And we also provided crisis intervention to 2 students, which was really nice to have our skilled therapists there to do that. And then there was embedded SEL, as you've heard throughout all of our classes, but the schooling service therapists that came in, they were providing explicit SEL to our students as well. And so in those areas, those social emotional competencies, self-awareness, self-management, relationship skills. And then the next slide. And now the high school program.
Good evening, everybody. The high school program was really fun this year because we started our planning with a mandate from Leticia that was, we want this to be fun. We want this to be like summer camp. And these are the highlights from our fun time. Credit recovery is Edgenuity. If you know anything about Edgenuity, it is not considered fun. So the attempt to make it fun was to create a leaderboard with emojis that students could opt in on the leaderboard, and they would send an emoji that represented them. Each week I would post up the top 5, and those top 5 were able to pick something off Amazon, whatever they wanted, that was $10. As a result of that incentive, the final incentive was if you finished your course early, you got to go to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk with Mr. Olson and have fun in the sun. And that was a very, very popular field trip. Mr. Cabello's PE class, when he offered an AM and PM, so students had the opportunity to recover a year of PE, he was granted tickets from the Oakland Community Ticket Program, and this group of students were able to go to the Oakland A's game and sit behind home plate, and they felt like VIPs. They all told me that when they got back. And lastly, to me, the feel-good story of summer school was the Rising Ninth class. We had staffing issues in the very beginning, and it was all CUSD hands on deck. Leticia jumped in, I jumped in, our SLS therapists, Lauren Hicks and Jackie McCord, jumped in and turned this class around for the first few days. And then Mike Berrigan and Mary Semenak came up with a brilliant idea to rearrange our staffing so that Mike Berrigan could take this class. And that ended up to be an amazing, happy accident because I think what we came up with is a prototype for this class for years to come. These students now have a teacher at Half Moon Bay High that they trust and love. They had field trips every week. One of the highlights of what he did was connect them to our community by going out on Main Street every week, and they would learn about the historical buildings and connect with the business owners. And Mike made that happen because he lives off Main Street and he knows everyone there. They also were able to make the connection, the academic connection, by having walking field trip to Half Moon Bay High School, field trip in partnership with the Migrant Ed program going to CSM, and then one of our 10th grade volunteers for this class happened to be Belinda Arriaga's daughter, and so she hosted them at University of San Francisco, and they got
also VIP tour of that campus. My favorite data point of the summer was that group said they never wanted to come back after the first week. And on the very last day, they were all sad to go. And it's very rare to have middle school kids draw you pictures. And they all drew me pictures thanking me for the summer program. Thank you for your time.
Go ahead.
I think that concludes, and again, you went above and beyond, and we are blessed to have you lead our summer program. Hope that you can consider applications will be out in October for next year, summer 2023.
I'm very grateful to this whole team, to Danielle, to Debbie, to Miley, to Lizeth, to Jill, Brenda, who has now departed, to Dr. Bhatia. Over the summer, kind of watching it from a distance, I was very impressed. So thank you so much for your team spirit on this.
I just also wanted to say thank you so much. And it's been, when I remember first coming on the board, and there was at a time when state funding for summer schools had been completely cut. And I remember the pride of our district and saying, we're going to still provide summer school. And Debbie, I think you were involved in some of those first summers. And it's so wonderful to see how much that's grown since then and our continued commitment to it. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you for making it a fun and exciting thing for the students.
Just to build on what Freya said, to acknowledge that we served almost 1 in 5 students in this district. That's powerful. Thank you.
And they were so happy. Really, overall, they were.
Well, that to me was one of the key things, and I feel like listening to Los Listos presentation, listening to your summer school presentation, I will call out Pilarcitos in the past as that same kind of idea of, I feel like we have these incubators for innovation in our district, and you're one of them, being a summer school team where you can play around a little bit, can experiment a little bit, sometimes those happy accidents happen, and you realize, oh my God, this works great. And so where we can continue to use those learnings to scale up, I would love all kids all year, at least to not want to run out the door on the last day of school, right? Like to ideally not want to leave and hug their, adults around them and draw them pictures and everything. So I think thinking of the summer school program as like an innovation incubator, along with to me, it's Pilarcitos and Los Listos as well, is and how we can kind of expand and build on that is a cool concept. Two other things too that I noticed, or that I think about whenever I hear about credit recovery, especially for PE, wonderful as it is to be under the wing of Lizeth, the wonderful, amazing Lizeth Bendanya, to the extent that we can minimize the need for kids to come back and do Ingenuity or do PE over the summer. I think it probably relates a little bit to what Mary Beth talked about earlier in terms of our approaches to grading and that sort of thing. We'd love for them to see you in other venues, right? Like another ways to be like your assistant educators with your younger students, for example. And then lastly, I also want to just give Miley a big thanks for your survey methodology. I really appreciated that you looked at the data, at the perspectives of our students and our families as data, and that I think is also just a smart method that you use to do a baseline and then to do a kind of how it looks at the end. I think that's also something that as we continue to improve our student focus and really working towards the students, kind of honor what they see and what their families see as well. So I want to just say special thanks to that. Again, a good concept that we could probably expand upon further. So thank you.
Go ahead, Lizette.
I echo everything that everybody else has said. Muchísimas gracias. Muchas gracias por todo lo que hacen y por todo lo que van a continuar haciendo. Gracias por todo de parte de toda la comunidad y de todos los padres que tal vez no estén aquí, pero sé que lo agradecen muchísimo. Muchísimas gracias. Just want to thank you all for all your great work, and I really speak from all the parents and all the families who are not here but have benefited greatly from all your great work and all your services. So thank you very much.
I agree. Sounds fun. Sounded fun, and it hit a lot of kids, so thank you for that. Following up on what she said, I am curious, why were there so many PE kids? It just seemed odd.
No, the last 2 years there have been, and because I think a lot of PE grades are based on attendance. And so with COVID, there were a lot of missed PE, so.
Oh, because kids were out sick? But they're not given a pass when they're out sick?
No, so they have to make up.
They have to make up every day?
I'm not sure exactly without Andy being here, he could help me. on
That is something that the high school has got inquiry on right now, actually, and they are looking at trying to figure out how PE won't serve as a gatekeeper. It's actually an important point.
Well, one thing they did to get around that is the athletics. You know, you can participate in athletics. Well, I mean, it's something.
I think Dr. McFetrich's point is a good thing they're looking at.
Yes.
It is good that they're looking at it, and is what they also are looking at, since we're talking about this. I was talking to Clay Lambert about this just the other day, which is the high school is currently looking at alternatives to PE completion using interscholastic sports participation. People have asked about, can you use club sports, outside sports? I ran afoul of the California Department of Education 8 years ago, 10 years ago when I was an assistant superintendent in Alameda, and CDE called me and said, oh, you cannot use club sports, but you can use interscholastic sports. So Andy Boysen is working on that. It would be great if our students who, you have so many students, like 600 plus students at Half Moon Bay High School who participate in interscholastic athletics. They are currently looking at that currently. I think that plan is in the works to try to exempt students from PE. I think that would help them. And I do think that there needs to be investigation about, does attendance really, just like Ms. Alexander was saying earlier, does attendance really talk about what you know or are able to do? Some students can't attend because they're ill or they have personal reasons. It is a point of inquiry, and Miley is exactly right. On a scientific level, it's a point of inquiry for us for improvement.
Can they not do club sports? Don't they have independent study at the high school, something? That
There is well, Dr. Bhatia can speak to this more because she's more in touch and working with those practitioners. There is independent study. One thing that we did discover last year and that we are trying also to work on is to certainly not make independent study athletics more hours, because I think it actually was double the hours, which we think is really going the wrong way. So yes, at some point, Dr. Bhatia, maybe you will present on this when Andy and Deanna are, and
This
folks
is
are
another
ready.
conversation, I think, yeah.
And maybe, Dr. Bhatia, you can clarify my understanding, the timing of the PE exemption for interscholastic sports is already in effect, correct? I think they launched that the very end of last year, so presumably students are eligible right now.
Correct, yes. So, yes, there are many inquiries, as we do have with growth mindset in all areas. But for PE, yes, students this year, and it has been in effect, Sophia, like you mentioned, since last year, where should students take a minimum of 2 years or 2 sports within one academic year, they can obtain 1 year of credit for PE. And then I know the other thing I did want to mention about the attendance of the 24, actually, we had about 45 kids who needed to make up PE credits, but we were only able to serve 24. But it is something that we are looking at Edgenuity, we are looking at we'll be working with the high school team in determining how can we support our students in ensuring that an FMP will not prohibit them from getting into the A through G or graduation pathways.
And just to clarify, my understanding, and we can check, is that the exemption was based on 2 seasons of participation in interscholastic sports within the 4 years of high school, not within a single year. That's my understanding.
That is correct.
Okay. I know we went back and forth a little bit. Okay. That's great. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for this and looking at summer school as a way to accelerate and maintain achievement, whether, Martha, it's through extended school year for our students with different abilities, or our migrant students, or students, all the students who participate. It's just an opportunity to accelerate and to grow and to have fun. God bless you all for making that the case. And I do want to also call out and thank Jill Jacobson, second year running, important partner here. I don't think of the Boys and Girls Club as separate from CUSD. I think of us all as family, and God knows that the service that you provide every day to our children is so needed and so important. So you're right there with us on that equity front and on the service, and certainly we know they love being with you. So thanks to all the partners. I would also be remiss if I didn't really call out again Half Moon Bay Library, San Mateo County Library, the Big Lift, the funding we get from the Big Lift through the county, the work that is done with the San Mateo County Office of Education, Carol Groom, like the big mama of Big Lift, right? I just think that there was a lot of love in the room and a village that raised this child this summer, and bless you for it.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. It's very exciting to hear about everything going on. Next up, we have CUSD's Comprehensive Mental Health Program presentation.
Good evening again. I'm here tonight with Caroline Morton, who's the Specialized Program Coordinator of our mental health program. And tonight we're presenting a report on the district's mental health, student wellness, and social emotional learning program. And because of your vision, our mental health programs literally reach every student in the school district, and we want to illustrate that, but we also want to, this is sort of our jumping off point for communicating across our community how to access those supports and how to know that they're happening, so that our families know if something's going on, how they can access support for their student. And next two slides. Or next slide, this is good. Okay, this is our roadmap for, one back. Sorry, this is our roadmap for tonight, and this is what we're going to cover. I get the dry part about how this is connected to MTSS. There's that word again. And then Caroline will jump in and she'll get to all the exciting stuff that we've done and the things that we're going to be doing this year, because we're both very excited that there's a lot of new on the board tonight. And then the next slide.
Can I just take a moment to say MTSS, that is multi-tiered system of supports. I saw this in the last presentation too. You know, we said ESY, extended school year. We had ELD or English, ELLs, English language learners. So, you know, education could be a bit of an alphabet soup. Thank you for explaining this part for us in explanatory, in common language. Thank you, Martha. You're so good at that.
Thank you. I'm going to try. You know, we've talked a lot before when I've stood here before you and talked about the multi-tiered systems of support, and what we know is that there's 3 tiers of support, and it's across 3 large areas: behavior, social emotional learning and mental health, and of course academics. Within that framework, there are 5 domains, and those 5 domains are listed here. And they're integrated and they're woven through every one of the tiers and every aspect of MTSS. And so as we're building and developing our framework, not only district-wide but at every site, we're going to be looking at these domains and making sure that that we're addressing, that it is all linked together. So tonight, in the report that we're giving, is we're going to just really address 3 of the domains in the social emotional learning, wellness, mental health field, because the purpose of the report is to talk about access. How do you access these things? How are our children accessing these things? But the administrative leadership domain and the policy and practice domain are equally as important, because they kind of, those are the documents that outlast us, right? So, and then the next slide. Okay, so how do we know how to focus our resources and maximize the benefit to our children? These are the 4 things that we're really focused on and making sure that our programs are addressing. Are they promoting a positive school climate? Are they comprehensive do we have a comprehensive social emotional learning program that we can reference when we're working with children? Is there access, and do our families and children know about that access? Do our teachers and counselors and principals know how to refer to those services? And then finally, is this program likely to reduce the prevalence and severity of mental illness in our community? So these attributes of a mental health program are the things at the forefront of our mind when we're thinking about how are we going to develop a program and how are we going to put should our resources be put in that direction? And so now here's Caroline with the exciting part of the program.
Thank you. Buenas tardes, ¿cómo están? I'm glad to be here, thank you very much. Next slide, please. And so I'm going to talk about the whole child. And so when we think about the whole child, we're not just thinking about the individual child, we're also thinking about the child's family, the child's community. And so when we're thinking about sort of the interventions that we're putting into place, those are all of the different areas that we're looking at. Our emphasis with the individual child in the schools, as you know, we have our one-on-one short-term counseling, school-based counseling that we offer, group counseling as well. We have our collaboration partnership with Care Solace that provides the mental health referral services for students, for their families, for our staff members. It's available to everyone and it's free. And one of the big emphases that we have this year as well is the Tier 1 classroom and grade level workshops. And so really starting really early on with classroom push-ins. I'm already talking to the principals to talk about what grades do we want to focus on. Like at Fairlawn, I was just at Fairlawn View, and we were talking about kindergarten, first grade, just right off the bat, like within the first week or two, to really get into the classrooms and start talking about social skills, friendships, mindfulness. We mentioned Lauren Hicks, who's one of our therapists, and she's going to be at Hatch, and she's an expert at circles, restorative justice. And so really bringing all of that Tier 1 to all of our students. And very exciting new this year is our partnership with a group called Safe Space. And they're a youth-led mental health-focused organization that implements mental health initiatives. So the focus here is really making the youth are the leaders in our mental health movement. And, not all teenagers want to sit down and meet with a therapist, but the healing and activism can be resounding and really impactful. And so I'm really excited to partner with Safe Space, and we've taken the first steps in developing a chapter in Half Moon Bay at the Half Moon Bay High School. So that's super exciting. Also, the hopes to extend it to Pilarcitos as well. And then also another exciting new program is that we've received a 3-year grant with Community Matters and their Safe School Ambassadors program at Cunha. Again, this is a youth-led program. So it's an evidence-based program, student-centered, model to aim and address bullying. And so it's coming from the youth, not from the grown-ups around them, because sometimes they kind of tune us out, right? And then another part also is just our SEL curriculums, which are really excited about the expansion, or not expansion, but really just sort of solidifying of PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Strategies, district-wide in all of our schools. Connect with Kids is a K through 12 digital curriculum that's available also district-wide to all of our schools. And we're really paying some extra attention of implementing here at Cunha as well. And then the second step SEL program that's a K through 5. And next slide, please. All right, so how do we access some of the support? So for the school-based short-term counseling programs, it's available through referrals. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible and accessible. And again, one of the biggest push that we're doing this year is communication, and really getting the word out. We have developed brochures about the mental health programs available in the community, and English and Espanol. You know, we were at the event there in the Make It Main Street event, communication through newsletters, and just letting people know that we have this ability to serve students at school through our counseling program. And so students are referred through teachers, administrators, counselors into our short-term counseling program. Also, Care Solace is a big push, constantly pushing it. It's, you know, I keep it as a tagline in my emails and just ways for families to connect. We have postcards as well. And then also just through the Safe School and Safe Space School Ambassadors information, again, we're going to be distributing it to all of our families. Next slide, please. So here we have all of the integrated systems within CUSD. All of this aimed to support not only the whole child, but also the families and the personnel of our district. And so one of the things that we're really going to be focusing on is the universal mental health screening, district-wide, K through 12. And a big part of this is to identify or to see. Sometimes we have kids that are internalizers and externalizers, and it's usually the externalizers that we really notice because they're acting out through behavior, right? It's the internalizers that we miss, and sometimes they slip through the cracks, and we don't find out that, wow, they were really struggling in 3rd grade, and we don't find out about it until they're in 10th grade. And so these screeners are really going to help capture some of the needs and put in and implement the support services available. Professional learning, always my position, I think it's up there. And then the mental health counselors, academic counselors. Something that's really exciting and new, as you've heard, we have here at CUNA our full-time dean, so that's very exciting to have that position here at CUNA. And then also, I'm super excited is our wellness counselor, Tara Abrams, who is at Half Moon Bay High School. And we have a really beautiful wellness room at Half Moon Bay High School that most kids don't even know about. And so now we actually have someone who's staffing it, who's going to be there 35 hours a week, doors open, during lunch, during breaks, and this is a safe space. And so I'm super excited about that position. And then we also have the teacher on special assignment, David Jones, who is at the high school, and he's also going to be helping support the expansion or implementation of PBIS and student services at the high school. Next slide, please. And a big piece of our integrated services is our partnership. And so a big part of our partnership, as always, is ALAS, Coast Pride Center, Star Vista. In fact, one of our main therapists up at the high school, Corinne Hajnik, is a Star Vista therapist, and she provides a lot of support to our students, and our work with El Centro de Libertad. And also continued and ongoing efforts to tap into all the services here on the coast, but also over the hill. And so a big effort is to connect with services over the hill and try to lure them onto the coast. And like Alcove is an example. It's an amazing program. They're in Palo Alto, they're opening up in San Mateo, and we're really hoping to have an annex here on the coast. And it's providing free mental health services to families and youth. So that's a big effort as well. Next slide. And here is just a big blast of all of our amazing community partners in just developing, communicating with them, and collaborating with them. And next slide. Again, part of the whole child is the family and the community. We would be remiss if we didn't spend a lot of focus on how to support families and how to support their communities where the children live. And so a big focus and big passion for me is family and community engagement. And so continued development of our monthly wellness and well-being webinars, the family engagement series, which is, we're going to have our first one in September, will be continue to be the third Tuesday of every month continue with Zoom from 7 to 8. And then new this year, which I'm super excited about, is our Platicas. And one of the things that I noticed with our family engagement Zoom presentations is we weren't getting a lot of the Latino families. We had translation always available, but we just weren't getting a lot of our Latino families. And so new this year is we're actually going to be going to the communities and providing Platicas in person, on site, going to the communities. And so, in fact, I just had a meeting with Norma Miramontes today, and already starting to figure out like what days we're kind of shooting for in a year at Moonridge, 4 at Main Street, and I'm also going to be reaching out to Pillar Ridge to also reach out. And these are groups that will be include in childcare. We're going to have food, and it's education, psychoeducation, and just a place for resources for our communities. Another piece is just really developing effective communication and streamlining our communication to our families. And that's with newsletter, easy access in our CUSD website as well. And so every family member should really know what we are offering, right? And I think that that's my big goal, is that when I go to Moonridge and I talk to a family, that they know, oh yeah, you know, this is the case manager for my child, or, oh, this is how I access counseling, and knowing what services are available. And they don't necessarily have to actually be on campus to know what's available. And so that's a big push for me, is the communication and sharing education. Next slide. And so ultimately, our desired impact is, Martha mentioned in the very beginning, with all of our interventions, Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 interventions, is ultimately to lower truancy, lower dropout rates, lower substance abuse, increase graduation rate, because we want to see those little, los listos graduates at Half Moon Bay High, increase academic success, increase well-being and resiliency. And so we believe that a strong mental health and SEL programs will achieve all of this. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, both of you. Another great program to hear about. I'm so excited. Anyone have questions for them?
I know I tried to attend the parent workshops online as much as I could, and some of them, like you said, they were so helpful and not as well attended as, you know, it should have been, especially with like all these topics. I think one of them was like, there was one where she talked about just how to be on top of like healthy use of like social media or something like that. I can't remember. And I thought, wow, if that was like in Spanish and that there were more people, I do appreciate, you know, your efforts to the translating was always available, but there's nothing like just giving the information in Spanish and to the community, and not just a translation of something that was, you know, it just kind of, you lose parents and you don't get as much participation. So seeing that you have something like Platicas that you're going to be incorporating is very important. And God knows that more than ever, we need all of the mental health resources, support, advocacy than ever before. And thank you, thank you, thank you for doing this. Muchísimas gracias.
I had a couple questions and a few comments. One, which is, can you tell us a little bit more about Safe Space and Safe Schools? There's like new programs that sound exciting. Like, what do they do? Like, what's it going to look like when those are implemented?
I'll do Safe School Ambassadors.
Okay.
And Caroline will do So Safe School Ambassadors is a 3-year grant. Oh, yeah. Safe School Ambassadors is a 3-year grant that we've received, and what will happen is at the end of those 3 years is it'll be fully operational so we can be independent, run it independently. But what happens is we recruit 40 students who are leader students in the school across all different kinds of social groups. So they have a matrix so that we can go ahead and make sure that we're not recruiting the dominant social groups, but all the social groups. And then there's 2 days of training for teacher leaders who will have a small group of 6 students that they'll have like, it's kind of like a little family of those students. And the 2 days of training is how youth can do conflict resolution among each other. And so the whole point of having sort of these leader students there is because them stepping in and them saying that's not okay and them saying, hey, let's try a different way, actually will be a model to other students because they're already people that children want to follow. So we're very, very excited to have the grant. And, Mr. Clinton is really on board, and the moment I told him about it, he started like thinking, oh, we can have this person and this person and this person being our adult leaders, and our adult leaders won't necessarily be all of our teachers, but they'll also be maybe food service or maybe our custodian or maybe our paras or maybe our security staff. So, and then those groups will meet regularly and then it'll develop, and then that'll be a group of 6th through 8th kids, and then those 8th graders will roll off, and then those 7th and 8th graders, it'll be their second year, and then the 8th graders will be, who were 6th graders the first time, they'll have their 3rd year, and then that's when we have the whole thing rolling along and embedded in the community here.
Really quick, that was one of the presentations, I think, in one of your many workshops.
Oh, that was Safe Space.
Yeah, it was Safe Space with the kids, and I remember a lot of us parents were like, how do we get this in our own schools? So thank you so much for doing that. It was amazing to see the leadership and just how the kids ran the whole program, and it just was amazing, so thank you.
Yeah, that was Safe Space who came and did a presentation for our family engagement series. And so Safe Space, they're a nonprofit. They originally started in Menlo Park. And so they've expanded to develop chapters. And so really what the first phase is recruitment. And so we are having representatives from Safe Space that will include youth to come out to Half Moon Bay High School. We're partnering and working with David Jones and Tara Abrams to get the word out with our leadership students, but also just the counselors are going to identify some students that, hey, they might really like to hear this presentation. Our counselors, our teachers, Karen Hoffman, who is also going to be kind of identifying some students that maybe could really benefit. And really what it is the kids involved in Safe Space develop mental health initiatives for their community. And so it really is tailored to the needs of their community. In this case, it would be Half Moon Bay High School. And one of the things that they might do is create videos. This is what, we presented at this presentation. Some of the videos that the youth have developed as well. Maybe going to Half Moon Bay City Council and with regards to mental health initiatives for the community as a whole. But again, it's not so much us saying what they should do, it's bringing kids together and starting the dialogue and then helping them with some tools of how to develop mental health initiative programs tailored to what they think their school needs.
Oh, that's really fantastic, and I think it's a really great approach from both of those fronts because it also diversifies what leadership looks like. I think traditionally we have leadership in schools evolves around a lot, frankly, around spirit activities, right? And not all kids are into that. So I think this is nice to really have another opportunity for students to become leaders and to effectively influence their peers and support their peers in ways that sometimes, as one of you said, grown-ups can't always do. Sometimes they don't listen to us. It's weird. Yeah, I've never experienced that. Or hopefully they're not listening. I'm sure they're not. So I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate like those two slides that you had about the integrated supports. That's the key, right? Like when we kind of slide everything into the normal day-to-day operations of what we do, I think that's really important. I was curious also how we're implementing the social emotional learning curriculum at Cunha in the high school because they're on a master schedule with classes and nothing's called like social emotional learning class. What does the implementation of social emotional learning curricula look like at those two schools?
Right now, we're piloting at the middle school a way of having a theme, a 10-week theme of social awareness, and then we identify a class period where teachers may pilot that curriculum during the week, and so Jeff is committed to having announcements and activities and stuff around that particular theme, and then also highlighting to teachers in his letters to teachers, here's a great video you could show in your class. A lot of these lessons can be done in 10 minutes or 40 minutes. And so it doesn't have to necessarily impact the entire content plan for the day, but it could be something that, then we'll have the whole school talking about this one particular content area. So we're just launching that right now, and we want to do have a similar approach at the high school, and we're working with Mr. Boysen on what he thinks would be the best approach to pilot something like that at the high school.
That's great. Okay, and my last question was, maybe it's more for Leticia around, you mentioned professional development. What is our plan for professional development for this year for, I presume, for faculty? Do we have anything specifically relating to mental health?
So a couple of options. I know that in the plan, the PD plan that is already approved, I believe in the month of June, there is, Martha has done a great job in weaving some SEL, social emotional. We are engaging in professional development with our principals, who then, we then ask our principals to then share that with the staff, and that's how it would trickle down. And I know that, again, we'll be working both with Martha and Caroline to integrate that. We meet with principals twice a month, and so some of that training will happen. So outside the plan, the PD plan that was already approved, which is 3 days that are voted by site educators and 3 days voted by or designed by our team. Some of it is curriculum and some of it is SEL. But we, this year we are receiving over the course of the next 3 years educator effectiveness grant. So every single site has received a pot of funding, and we are recommending that it's optional, right? We cannot require our teachers to attend PD after school, but I mean, we have such an amazing group of educators that when we do offer PD, we do get great attendance after school for optional PD. So we'll be sprinkling that as well after school.
Great, thank you. All right, and my last comment and question, I guess my last comment is, I think we speak a lot about family engagement, like from the planning perspective. I think kind of as we think about branding towards families will often respond well to what they get out of it or what they do. So it's just something, I think, as we think about how we present things to families, think about family learning opportunities. They're learning, they're not engaging, we're engaging as a district. So as we think about their perspective and how we brand things to them, that could be something worth thinking about. It's just something I've thought about over the years from both sides of the activity. And I also just want to thank you also for, just in general, for all throughout this presentation. It's really clear how much innovative thinking and how many like smart risks you're taking as a team to really think about what is best for kids, and we pilot this or we try this and we tweak this and we learn from that and we constantly do better and evolve in that continuous improvement kind of way. I think that's really great. Even I think, Caroline, you mentioned about like trying to influence this other group to like open up a branch here. That's like, I'm pretty sure that's not in your job description. But I love that you're not working towards like the word of like the black and white letters on your job description that we approved a couple months ago, because I know it wasn't in your job description, but just that you're like committed, you're passionate, you're going to do what it takes to get the job done, and be creative, being creative, being courageous, being collaborative. I think that's really fantastic and a great role model, and I'm very appreciative and grateful for it. So thank you.
I'll be short. I wanted to point out one of the items, I know you went through it quickly, but the annual wellness fair. I don't know if it's annual now, but it's coming up again in May. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, parents don't know they're going to need something until they're in a crisis. And I appreciated so much all of the community partners that showed up. Wearing another hat as one of the faith-based partners to Coast Pride. But, you know, hearing people's stories of when families were in crisis, and then all of the different tables there. It was a rich and wonderful fair, Tibetan prayer flags, activities for kids. And, you know, in some ways, some of those things may feel light, but they're all opportunities to connect. And, you know, related to what Sophia is saying in terms of how we reach families, that particular wellness fair, I could definitely see just expanding and attracting more people, because it's just really, it was a lovely outdoor event. And thank you for that particularly.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. It was really wonderful, and it was, I think at the end, we were all like hugging each other, and just, it was so great to just spend an afternoon with such very dedicated community members. And yeah, we were thinking like, okay, next year on Main Street, you know, so really it's definitely not going away. So very excited.
Well, and I was going to say thank you also for coming to Make It Main Street and bringing those really cool stickers. I love that just you approached it with like fun first, and that's how you hook people in. And definitely we're thinking about, you know, again, how we integrate. I think why that event worked so well is it wasn't just another standalone thing, right? It was integrated into something people are getting used to, that, you know, that works with our local artisans, and it's like, you know, it has shared goals. I think the more we can kind of do that, the better. So I appreciate your doing that.
So just a few comments. Thank you for kind of a repeat of thank you for the other stuff, the Platicas, and bringing the programs to the communities. And again, like Sophia was mentioning before about how different things can be models, that's a great model for other efforts in our district, is how we adapt to how we communicate, which has always been an issue for our district. So those are wonderful examples of what you guys are working on. 2 comments about the 2 new programs, or 1 comment, but just for those 2. That's also an exciting opportunity to, when you're introducing kind of these ideas and skills to students, then leading them into passive mental health, because we really do need more mental health professionals in the world right now. And so that's thinking of that as it gets established, trying to create some bridge there to post, you know, college, career, and other kinds of things would be an exciting part of those 2 programs as well. And then again, similar to the summer school, you know, how far we've come. When I was first on the board, Caroline and I at one point were on a run together, and she was bemoaning the fact she couldn't even get the attention of someone at the district to sign one of her grants. And that, we have come so much further from that. So I just want to say congratulations, Caroline, and I'm so happy, even that I'm going to be no longer here, that you all are still here to help and have the support of all of these folks to help keep this thing moving. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just so I can close on this, I want to thank my colleague Martha and my colleague Caroline, and also my colleague Susan Vana, who's coordinator of medical health. The work that you guys, that you folks, that you colleagues do for us the past couple of years is instrumental to us. But regardless of the COVID pandemic or the way things are in the world right now, I really think it's important for us to focus on our medical health, to focus on our, how do I say that, our mental well-being, I really appreciated in particular, Caroline, you talking about teaching students social skills on a cognitive behavioral therapy level. The fact that we are learning how to cope with being social and thinking about ourselves and being mindful, not just for kids, but for adults. And the fact that you're trying to take this to families too, and particularly to Spanish-speaking families where they, in the community, I think that's fantastic. And I will just say for the board too, we are just so fortunate to have the expertise of Martha Ladd and Caroline Morton in this realm. I'm very grateful to you both.
And can I just add, because Sean, you reminded me as you were speaking about how much these three presentations tonight really relate to I think what's organically becoming a strategy, a multi-pronged strategy of investing in foundational supports for students in order to enable them to learn when they get to the classroom. You can't learn when you're sick. You can't learn when you're mentally unwell. You can't learn when you don't know how to hold scissors, so how could you possibly hold a pen? You can't learn when you're hungry. You can't learn when you don't know how to get to school. So I'm appreciative of these examples of like programming that we need in place for our students at a basic foundational level so that they can learn, you know, the quadratic formula. Those are all essential. And I actually know what that is because I have a middle schooler. So thank you, Sean. I think this is a good kind of way to come back into the year.
I will say it's in some ways been organic when we were presented with the opportunities to do the structure that we did with the coordinators of medical health and mental well-being, mental health. That was explicit strategy, but it was not my strategy. I saw the need. I will say Martha Ladd was the one who proposed it, and Caroline was the one who had always worked with us in a different regard, but then was able to come on full-time and is now leading this. This presentation is very hopeful. We can always improve. There's always more work to do, but I'm really excited that there is a theory of action and a way forward. And Dr. Bhatia, I know you know their work way more than I do, and so I'm just grateful because as a superintendent, I kind of see these things happening. I can go, oh, I can talk about that and explain the importance of it. But without their expertise, none of this would happen. So thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Leticia.
It is exciting. It's been exciting to hear all these things. There is so much moving forward. It was like so many dreams and so much work and so much action to really see things coming to fruition has been really nice. So I'm excited about this year. Okay, let's move on. We have an action item, approval of the intent to submit a declaration of need for fully qualified educators for 2022-2023.
Our HR team is not here, but I will, and I told them not to come to present this. You can look at that approval of intent. We do this every year. This is rather pro forma. We have to do this and get board information. You can review it. I don't need to talk through it or read it to you.
Can I get a motion and a second so that we can discuss?
Motion to approve. A second.
Okay, any questions or comments about this?
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Freya.
Any questions or comments about this item? I think we see it every year, so we're used to it, and we all saw it in the packet. Okay, if none, I think we'll go ahead and vote. Rosie?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any noes? No. Okay, 5+1.
Yeah, and just to explain that for the public, I mean, this is a pro forma thing. The state requires us to do it. We have done very well this year, thankfully. Many districts are struggling. I think there are Oakland, San Francisco, local districts are actually reporting hundreds. There is mixed reports out there nationally about, are we in crisis? 2 weeks ago, last week, it was Washington Post saying the American Association of School Administrators chief executive officer saying, I've never seen it this bad. Yesterday, I read a review saying from researchers, gold paper, I think it was, from the RAND Institute or American Institute of Research saying, it's been this bad. It's not the worst. But we do have a teacher shortage. This helps us address that teacher shortage and allows us to hire folks when we are needing a teacher, but they may not have a California language acquisition BCLAD, that type of thing. So this gives us an opportunity to support those teachers, get teachers in, even if they may not be highly, highly qualified by the states. And every district does this every year. That said, I believe that the HR office was actually talking with a candidate for our last vacancy tonight. So what a difference a year makes. Last year, we were in dire shortage and actually had teachers quitting in the first week, which was devastating. I think we are doing much better, and I am very grateful for our new employees and all the folks we saw at the Rotary lunch last week. The Rotary did a fantastic lunch here in the Half Moon Bay Library just across the street. We have a great new crop of educators. I'm very hopeful about that. And we're almost all filled in our classrooms and continue recruiting. And we still need good people. So thank you for approving this so that we can keep people in classrooms. Did we take a vote?
Yes.
Oh, there's one last item then, isn't there?
Yes, we have one last item.
Let me explain this. And for those who missed this at the beginning of the agenda, who are tuning in later or who came in after we started, we did add an item because yesterday San Mateo County Council provided us a memo and a board policy revision. Because if we waited for California School Boards Association for their legal team to provide this independent study board policy revision, then we would wait until September 15th. And the legislature, again, in late summer, decided to change independent study legislation again. And so we have to adopt a policy for us to be able to collect apportionment or funding for these students. We did the same thing last year. It is the case that California legislature and California funding is a roller coaster. Every year, particularly in the last few years because of COVID pandemic, they've given us new rules and legislation that we have to sort of pivot and within days present to the board for policy. And we had to do this last year with an independent study. I believe we had to do it the year before. And they've changed it again. Of course, the state's intent is to continue to refine this and to try to make it so that independent study, how do I say this, is robust and lot chosen. It is the case that this year we have far fewer students and families opting for independent study. That said, we do have some, and we have elected to serve them in that way because we think that's important. And so this is a new policy. It's a newly released revisions. I did not write the policy. Yesterday morning, when we got it, I got the team together. I emailed Dr. Bhatia, I emailed Ms. Ladd, I emailed James Barnes, I emailed Bianca Forrester, Rosie Acosta, who is policy master for me. We emailed a bunch of people. If I'm missing somebody, Leticia, I apologize. Oh, Drew Gammett, the new La Costa Adult School principal, James Barnes. We emailed everybody. We received the policy revision at 10 a.m. yesterday. We had a meeting at 2 p.m. and we decided, yeah, let's do what county council says. And every district in San Mateo County received it with the same timing. Most of our district colleagues are saying, are you kidding me? How do we get this on a board agenda? Well, the way we get it on a board agenda is how we did it tonight. We vote to add it to an agenda, and then you approve it as part of that agenda. That is what you did in the beginning of the evening. So I don't need to read the memo, but really I just sort of talked about that. With the Education Omnibus Budget Trailer Bill that was signed into law late in the summer, significant changes for independent study. Yesterday, we received these board policy revisions. Instead of waiting for September when California School Boards Association legal team can change the policy, we are very grateful to Claire Cunningham and San Mateo County Council and that team for writing a policy for us. I think I said that in the second paragraph. I wanted to give a shout out to my colleagues in San Mateo County Council. They save us often. There is a paragraph there about key changes. And you will also see the board policy itself with some strikeouts, and there's some added language. Again, there is no foreseeable financial impact to the general fund if this is approved because we will be able to collect apportionment on the students who are enrolled in independent study. If we do not approve this board policy and this administrative regulation, which typically we would not bring to you, but for context, we brought it tonight. If we do not approve this, then we would have a risk of not being able to collect apportionment or attendance or include them as attendance, and that might impact our funding, whether it's LCAP funding or basic aid funding as our benchmark for funding. So we would recommend approval of the policy as it is written because County Council has recommended it to all the districts. Should California School Boards Association give us another policy and the team, Dr. Bhatia, Mr. Barnes, Ms. Forrester, Ms. Ladd, et cetera, Mr. Gamet, et cetera, if they decided, hey, let's adopt the California School Boards Association policy, it's clearer, better, I'm sure County Council will opine on that too, then we would bring that back to your approval. But tonight, we wanted to have this brought. Again, we did not bring it and post it on the agenda because Brown Act precludes us from doing that if we don't do it 72 hours before. But Brown Act does allow us to bring it to you on the same time that we present it to the public as we did tonight. So we recommend approval of this policy. I hope I explained it. I know I'm long-winded, but I wanted to make sure I caught that for the public and for the board.
I want to make sure board members know that we have it here in front of us. And in this third paragraph on the front page, it does give you a little bit of an overview of it. And then as you go through, it does line out the stuff they're suggesting we take out, and there's underlined correctly. Is that, Sean, what they want you to add in? So it's easy to look through and see some of the changes. I just want to make sure that we all have time. If you want to take a few minutes and look through it, we can do it. But I want to make sure everyone feels comfortable with it before we vote on it.
For the public, we have copies in the back if you want to get a copy.
Copies in the back. And so we can discuss it. We should do a motion in a second so then we can have discussion about any questions we might have.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Kimberly.
I'm comfortable with it. I was able to glance it while Dr. McFetridge was giving the explanation as well, so I can multitask, thankfully, because that was helpful to listen to. And then just glancing through it, the changes frankly seem pretty nominal and mostly around medical exemptions, so pretty straightforward.
Okay. Everyone comfortable? Let's go ahead and vote. Rosie?
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any noes? Thank you. Passes 5+1.
Great, thank you. Okay, future events. September 5th is Labor Day holiday. All of our sites are closed. September 8th is our regular board meeting. It will be here again, Cunha Intermediate School Multipurpose Room at 6 o'clock. And tomorrow morning, we will be in closed session at the district office starting at 9 a.m. So I think that's all we've got on the agenda today. I'll take in a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting, please.
So moved. Thank you, Lisette. Thank you, Freya. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any noes? Thank you. 5+1.
All right, thank you.